105. Covetousness as idolatry. The New Testament speaks of covetousness as idolatry. St. Paul tells us, "For this ye know, that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man, who is an idolater, hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God." Ephesians chapter 5, verse 5. "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry." Colossians chapter 3, verse 5. All sin is idolatry, because all actual sin is a product of original sin, Satan's temptation whereby every man made himself his own god and idol. Genesis chapter 3, verse 5. Sin is the moral consequence of idolatry. Covetousness, in particular, is singled out as exemplifying idolatry. In analysing why this is so, it is necessary, first, to note that, while the Stoics regarded covetousness as the fountainhead of all evil, their motive in so doing was radically anti-theistic. The Stoic goal was self-sufficiency and passionlessness. Covetousness was a denial of the godlike freedom from all things which the Stoics sought, and hence it was regarded as the key sin. Stoic virtue was thus a form of idolatry and original sin, the desire to be a god and to gain aseity. The biblical condemnation has radically different grounds. Second, there is a difference in the meanings of the Old Testament Hebrew word betsa and the New Testament Greek word pleonexia, although both are translated as covetousness. The Old Testament word means dishonest gain, hence the 10th commandment forbids all fraudulent gain. The New Testament word means the wish to have more, and is the opposite of godly contentment. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 6. Third, both in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 5, and Colossians chapter 3, verse 5, covetousness is closely associated with sexual sins as well as with idolatry. The idolatry of seeking to be God means the imperialistic urge to have more and more, to extend our power over other men and properties, and also to the sexual urge to power. Sexual immorality has in it, among other things, the will to violate God's law and pleasure therein, and the desire to use other people. A common problem in our time is an early impotence in legitimate marital relations. Sin only excites and appeals to the sinner. Again, a major pleasure in sexual immorality is that it is irresponsible. Other people are used for pleasure and without any continuing responsibility. It is the essence of paganism and commonplace in the myths of their gods that creaturely responsibility is a burden and the amoral freedom of the gods is bliss. Covetousness wishes to have more and with less responsibility. This desire can be masked in a facade of godliness, and often is. I recall some 20 years ago a churchman who built up his store from a modest venture to the leading one in his small city. He saw the forthcoming inflation and capitalized on it. A highly covetous man, he sacrificed his family and friends to an all-out concentration on work. He justified it by giving very generously to his church and declaring that he wanted to succeed in order to support the Lord's work better. His family, Associates and employees found him anything but Christian, and he was, in essence, an irresponsible man, given to hurting others brutally, but emphatic that he was serving the Lord. Sin is often disguised as virtue in our thinking. We find it easier to sin if we convince ourselves that we are really being virtuous. Fourth, still another Hebrew word, chamad, defines covetousness as the desire for our neighbour's possessions. This appears in the 10th commandment, Exodus chapter 20, verse 18. It also appears in Micah chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields, and take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress or defraud a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Micah chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. It involves desire and fraudulent action to fulfill that desire. It has, as its roots, the imagination which desires and plans to increase itself at the cost of one's neighbour. Degrading and surpassing the neighbour is basic to this kind of coveting. Achan was guilty of such covetousness. Joshua chapter 7, verse 21. Still another word in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 26, speaks of the wicked and slothful man coveting greedily all the day long. Crime and revolution are behind such covetousness. Men who will not work believe that, because in their imagination they are as gods, they are entitled to seize that which belongs to others. We have thus, in covetousness, much of the social legislation of our times. The greedy rich pass laws to eliminate competition and to gain subsidies, and the greedy, slothful men legislate to rob others of their wealth. Covetousness is not limited to any class. It is an aspect of fallen man, and it appears in strength wherever godliness is replaced by idolatry. Moreover, the sinner seeks to give the status of virtue and respectability to covetousness. It is regarded as a desire for one's rights, for social justice, and for real community. It is disguised in others as ambition, a desire to get ahead and improve one's lot, and as a natural reaction to injustice. It is, however, simply the worship of the self. Covetousness or greediness is the insatiable desire for more because we see no limits to what we are entitled to own. When we reach our supposed goal, we are not satisfied or grateful. We immediately want more, and we want it passionately and aggressively. J. Marsh has defined contentment thus: the acceptance of things as they are, as the wise and loving providence of a God who knows what is good for us, who so loves us as always to seek our good, and whose power is adequate to his love. Covetousness is the direct opposite of this. It involves a radical discontent with God's purpose in our lives, a distrust of his love and providence, and a pervasive restlessness and impatience with God and man. The 10 Commandments are both law and a declaration of inheritance and promise. The covenant people of God are those who forsake all forms of idolatry to believe and obey the true and living God. They are promised an inheritance of long life and land for their faith and obedience. They must, however, love God and their neighbour, and they must not covet or seek to deprive any man of that which the Lord gives to them. The 10th commandment thus forbids those covetous or fraudulent acts which are the results of discontent with God. In the New Testament, those insatiable desires which are behind these greedy acts, legal or illegal, are condemned, and their root is declared to be idolatry. In the New Testament, covetousness is considered a hindrance to true worship and faith in God. Where a man's treasure is, there is his heart. He who loves material possessions cannot truly love God. Mark chapter 7 verse 22, Luke chapter 12 verse 15. Compare Romans chapter 1 verse 20. Thus, in some passages, covetousness is identified with idolatry. Ephesians chapter 5 verses 3 and 5, Colossians chapter 3 verse 5. Recognition of this fact helps in interpreting the difficult text of Isaiah chapter 57 verse 17. The law of God strongly condemns and forbids idolatry. Covetousness is the hidden and veiled return of idolatry into the mind, heart, and life of man. Like all idolatry, it is destructive of man's life and of society.